We're standing in GUS, which is the university's art gallery that's programmed and managed by the visual art department. And so the GUS committee received an exhibition proposal for this fantastic sounding exhibition called A Square Meal that would get art students ideally to work with archival resources and develop new work that connected to history, but history through food culture. And with our third year group, every year I teach a curatorially focused studio intensive. And that's taken different forms over the years, but I realized with my own practice that works a lot with archival resources, I saw a really good opportunity to take students through the process of learning a new research methodology, so how to work with archives, and actually realize this exhibition within a teaching and learning context.
We had the amazing privilege to go into the Dutch Reform archives here down in Stellenbosch and to look at the journals of Murray and Lowe. And I got really intrigued by one of Murray's autobiographical records of his travels down the Nazaland River. And so my project kind of surrounded itself around this one page that described the stomach of the white man and how it was perceived by the people living on the land at the time. Because the white man was... they were weird and new creatures to the local people, that's Malawi today. Nazaland was Malawi. So yeah, a good chunk of what I did was investigating first the food that was consumed, because food became a currency. So in order to exchange certain passages of travel or to get the people to actually listen to them as missionaries, they would exchange sugar and food. So I began to document his journey and the food that he consumed, and I reimagined that in this idea of a translucent stomach, and the white man's stomach being this fish-like translucent stomach. Yeah.
The first day we went to the archives, the thing that struck me first was kind of the materiality of the books. It's not something you come across every day, and the fragility of that. And so I kind of leaned into that and ended up making a book that resembles the ideas around archives and kind of the playfulness that comes with it, and the things the way you kind of find things and discover things. It's almost like a child playing and finding things. But with that also comes things that you don't always understand, and things out of context sometimes becomes difficult. And I think that juxtaposition was really interesting to me. So that's something I kind of leaned into.
For the project currently, I had gotten a reading that looked at how spices and specifically salt is like used as currency back in the day, and like that's how they used to trade things. So I began looking at salt as a commodity, and then part of one of the readings that I did spoke about a chef who was also a translator, and it was this man who was complaining about his chef not being hygienic and like didn't understand why he wasn't washing the dishes, and so it kind of led me to create the leaf bowls. So in Indian culture, leaf bowls are kind of seen as something that's pure and like very clean. So we use it to like offer like food to gods. So that's kind of where it went. And then I made my own spices. Like I made turmeric, I made my own salt and chili flakes, which I will be putting in the bowls. And it's just, yeah, it's kind of talking about cleanliness and like putting something that was seen as money, like equivalent to gold, into something that was seen as unclean.
This was the turning point for my practice, especially going to fourth year this year. I started to center my work around working off of archives and archival material, and I've started to look at how art can expand what the archive cannot, looking in between spaces that exist in archives.
My practice is very like based on religion and like taking time to think about small details. The process for me is like has become very important, especially throughout this, like making the spices, making the leaf bowls like from scratch kind of helped me further understand like how much detail and care things take, like, yeah, that kind of thing.
The best part of the project must have been doing the research ourselves, being able to go into the archives, seeing an environment in a space that we hear lots about and we get information from, but we've never been into. And yeah, learning more about an archive and its system and its structure, and then, yeah, expanding on that.
I think the challenging part was taking the text that was given to us and then translating that into an artwork that still fit within how I view culture and religion. That was a bit of a difficult part, but I think I managed to get there in the end.
Visitors to the exhibition are encouraged to bring along a donation of a non-perishable food item. We're staging a collaborative social sculpture, which we're hoping it's a small contribution to addressing the food insecurity crisis on campus. But I think if people tune into this idea of the presence of food in our culture, beyond the idea of sort of fine dining and MasterChef, and the ways in which food is both an absolute basic need, but also a way of expressing ourselves and coming together, I think people can look at food in an entirely different way.